When you look at the world through your lens again, where do you see the U.S. headed? And what are some possible impacts of that?
Right. So, it may sound like I'm some kind of declinist, but I'm actually very bullish on North America as a continental mega region and America within that. If you rank the regions or continents of the world by their degree of self-sufficiency, like having enough land, labor, capital, industry, talent, technology, natural resources, right? North America ranks number one by far. Peace and stability, right? As well, which is not to be discounted. So there are not just small, but massive structural reasons to be very pro North America and to be continentalist. And I am. That's the kind of geopolitical tradition that I have trained in and written about in my books and so on. And that potential is very much still there. That, by the way, includes, I might add, Greenland as a future member of a North American Union.
We're part of the United States.
No, 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 just part of the North American Union, right? Or let's create a milder term for it, a federation of North American states, right? And the United States is a sovereign state, Mexico is a sovereign state, Canada is a sovereign state, Greenland is a sovereign state. But four members of this federation, right? And I think that's effectively what is happening and what will happen. We're already in that in many ways, right? If you look at the functional reality, again, the trade flows, the supply chains, the capital flows. Again, fun fact for your listeners, what are the two most busily trafficked borders of legally, not even illegally, legally traversed borders on the planet Earth? I mean, I'm kind of giving it away, right? I think
Right,
everyone should know.
right,
And we
right.
need to appreciate the US-Canada relationship, the US-Mexico relationship are fundamentally stable, right? These are the two busiest borders on Earth by this much, right? And there's not a third place that is even remotely meaningful. And so we need to really, um, kind of, you know, be grateful for it, harness it. So I'm very bullish again on North America, and I think the U.S. is actually going to sort itself out. I'm also long on this reindustrialization, industrial renaissance kind of paradigm too. It can be done. There's no rule that is so steadfast that can't be modified, no technology so arcane that we didn't already invent that we can't redomesticate, nothing that we can't produce cost effectively through technology onshore that we have to get from offshore. It can all be done. It's happened with oil and gas and shale energy. It can happen with semiconductors, and on it goes.
Yeah. Any particular areas in the U.S. that, I mean, if you narrow in on geographically, I know you mentioned sort of peaking of Florida, but is particular areas within the U.S. that might surprise us in terms of growth possibilities?
Um, it kind of just yes. I mean, the short answer, yes. It's the Great Lakes, right? And so this is how I began
Ah,
the opening chapter of the Move book, because when I was writing that book, it was the kind of post-industrial, post-global financial crisis tail end of the already deindustrializing wave that had hit the region, and it was on its last legs, and Detroit was bankrupt
yeah.
and so on and
Wow.
so on.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But if you look today, there's already green shoots of an industrial revival. People are moving in, home prices have come down, and then you have the climate resilience, right? So the combination of hitting rock bottom, attracting, and revitalizing industries, and attracting young people and climate resilience, all of those things favor Michigan, right, in the Great Lakes region.
Wow. Okay.
So, I first wrote this right after the financial crisis. So in 2010, I wrote an article titled "Where Will You Live in 2050?" And so when that was published, it was like, "What? Michigan? Are you joking?" And I gave all the reasons why. And so then the book Move came out a decade later, and I used those passages as the opening chapter of the book because it really already started to come true. And now in the post-COVID landscape, as we look at, again, the industrial renaissance in the US and some of these patterns, and of course, accelerating climate volatility affecting places like Arizona to Florida and so on, that amplifies and accelerates the Great Lakes story. So I'm more bullish than ever on that region. And as AlphaGeo is a software company that does geospatial analysis on these geographies, we brought that to life with our data, where we kind of correlate every new factory that's being built, where tax receipts are increasing as people move in, the inflows of people, housing market stabilization, climate resilience in models, new infrastructure spending. We put all of that literally physically as pin drops on maps. And again, Michigan is looking good.
So what kind of growth are they seeing in Michigan? It's like a big surprise to me, actually.
Well,
So,
it's not so much the growth rate, because that's going to be, that's going to vary significantly, potentially year on year. But again, it's the reversal of negative trends, and it's definitely a marked year on year increase in population, right? And therefore, again, tax receipts, people buying homes, and so forth.